All right, Andy, you made it. You made it.
All right. Call to order the Planning Commission meeting for February 19th, 2026. Quick announcement before we call roll that Commissioner Steinle has requested to attend the meeting remotely pursuant to AB 2449. So a motion is required by the commission to permit Commissioner Steinle to attend the meeting remotely. I will open the floor for a motion and a second, and then we can take roll on that motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Commissioner Benato. Commissioner Mensinger.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Vice Chair Roche.
Yes.
And Chair Ahi.
Yes. Okay.
He gets to vote.
Oh, and Commissioner Steinle.
I think I'll say yes too.
All right,
Okay.
perfect. So thank you for that. Now that the vote has passed, we will have another roll call to perform a quorum check.
Commissioner Benato.
Present.
Commissioner Mensinger.
Present.
Commissioner Steinle.
Here.
Commissioner Ross.
Here.
Vice Chair Roche.
Here.
And Chair Ahi.
Yes.
All present.
Okay. Next on the agenda, public comments on items not on the agenda. Do we have any speaker cards? Seeing none, I will close that and move on to the consent calendar. For the Planning Commission meeting minutes from January 15th, 2026, is there a motion and a second to approve those meeting minutes?
So,
I'll move. Oh,
go ahead.
no, you go. Susan, you make the motion. I'll second it.
Okay, I make the motion that we accept the minutes from the last planning commission meeting.
And I second that motion.
Okay, can we take a roll call vote?
Yes. Commissioner Benato.
Yes.
Commissioner Mensinger.
Yes.
Commissioner Steinle.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Vice Chair Roche.
Yes.
And Chair Ahi.
Yes. Okay, moving on to public hearing DR 25-0062 and V 25-0001 for 1276 Montclair Way. We will have a staff presentation.
Let me just get my screen set up. Thank you. Good evening, Planning Commission. Brittany Whitehill, Senior Planner. The item for your consideration this evening is a single-family home with a variance request. The project site is a 14,327 square foot vacant property located on the north side of Montclair Way between Granger and Eva Avenues. The site is a flag lot with Permanente Creek running through the rear portion of the site, and it's also restricted by a valley water easement, and a portion of the site lies within the AE FEMA flood zone. The front of the lot where the home is proposed has a general plan designation of SF4, single family medium lot, while the rear of the site with the easement is designated open space. The property is zoned R110, single family residential. The surrounding neighborhood is primarily one-story single-family homes and includes several other flag lots. The project proposes a new one-story, 3,469 square foot home on the vacant lot. And a rendering of the home, as it will be viewed from Montclair Way, is shown on the slide. Pursuant to Valley Water's guidelines and standards for development near streams, the project is required to provide a 25-foot setback from the top of the creek bank. The diagram on this slide shows the developable area of the lot, which is shown in white, if the project were to comply with all applicable R110 development standards as well as the required creek setback. The applicant is requesting a variance from the front and side setback requirements, as well as the minimum front yard landscaping requirement to allow the construction of a home comparable in size to those typically built on similarly sized R110 lots, while maintaining the setback to the adjacent creek. The request does not increase the overall intensity of development, but instead allows the building footprint to be shifted away from the creek corridor. The home is consistent with applicable zoning and general plan standards, except as modified by the variance request. The required findings for variance in the municipal code and state law can be made. In conclusion, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the design review and variance subject to the attached findings and conditions of approval, and find the project categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to Section 15303 of the California Environmental Quality Act. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anyone on the commission have questions? Susan, yeah.
Brittany, when they purchased the it's on. When they purchased the property, my understanding was that was in 2024, the end of 2024.
I believe that is correct. I'm not certain of the details.
At that time, since that time, has any of the zoning changed or requirements changed on this piece of property?
No.
So they bought this property knowing exactly what they were allowed to do under existing rules when they bought it.
The rules have not changed, but I'm not sure what sort of due diligence they did.
Well,
at the
okay,
time
they
bought
should have
it.
known. It was available for them to know. So if I just want to understand this, and I don't know, is the applicant here? Because my understanding, yeah, he isn't here. They now have put this property on the market at an increased value of almost $1 million, which gives them a 32% internal rate of return on their investment. They seem to be able to do that because we're changing the zoning laws for them to capture that value. And it will perhaps negatively impact neighbors. Has the city done that before? It just seems kind of extraordinary to do this for one person so they can capture $1 million of value in a year.
Well, I don't know who's marketing it and saying that it's developable with a variance that hasn't been approved.
They say it's in
That's-
planning.
Well, that's the real estate broker or agent's issue that I won't get into. But it's like saying your lot's subdividable when you don't have the final map. But as planning commission, you look at the planning and you look at the variance and you look at the evidence in front of you about is a variance needed or not. You really don't look at the applicant and you really don't look at what kind of value or increased profit that they can make. So you should take this as this is a parcel. Does it have unique restraints on it or unique characteristics that are caused by the city's application, the strict application of its zoning? And can you make the findings to grant relief from the strict application of those zoning
I
regulations?
understand, but presumably you could build a house there because there was a house there, just a smaller house.
Yeah, that you could consider that, yes.
Yes, you can.
To clarify, the lot is vacant. It hasn't been
Okay,
developed
but you
yet.
could put a house, just a smaller house there, and meet the requirements of the lot as you bought it. Is that correct? Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? Yeah, go for it.
So I was a little confused by the comment about the ADU. So there was a statement, I think it was item 7, that said we're not considering the ADU as part of these plans, except the plans had the ADU and the roof line, I think, encompasses the ADU. So can you give us some guidance on ADU or not?
Yeah, so ADUs under state law are processed ministerially, meaning exclusively with a building permit. So it is sort of confusing when an attached ADU is being proposed as part of, it's like shown conceptually on the plans. Essentially, yeah, we recognize it's on the plans, but the ADU portion of the project would not be subject to a design review
Okay.
permit from planning, and that will just be processed ministerially.
So assuming the ADU isn't there for a moment, I'm curious, there were no numbers on the diagram that I could see that show the setback from the neighbor's lot, and it's hard to say which is the side and the front, but basically the neighbor in the front, I'm curious how far back the house is proposed to be if you don't include the ADU.
So if you don't include the ADU, the setback is, I believe it's 13 feet 6 inches.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on the sides, well, so on the ADU goes to the
I'm sorry, 13 feet.
13 feet? Okay. And the ADU is on two sides of the building, right? It's on the, I don't know, if you're looking at the garage, it's on the right side and the rear of the building, correct? And what is if you exclude the ADU, what is the setback on that rear part, which is the right side of the property?
So that is 5 feet 4.5 inches.
Okay, so that's the one without the ADU.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then there was, I had some questions for the applicant. I know we're not there yet, but the Coast Live Oak, the arborist report said it was in good health, and those are beautiful trees. I didn't want to trespass and go see it, but because I live on a creek and I know we have a massive Coast Live Oak behind us, I'm guessing this is a pretty large tree. Is that correct?
It is. Yeah, it is a pretty large tree.
And so why is it being removed if it's not in the building envelope?
So the critical root zone is within the building envelope, and the canopy conflicts with the building envelope. So this was something that was evaluated during design review. Ultimately, the findings of the arborist were that the construction would significantly impact the overall health and stability of the tree, and there was no sort of feasible alternative.
Okay. And then my last question was, is there any fencing proposed? It wasn't clear. The diagrams on this were really hard for me to view on my screen, but is there a fence between the various properties now and or in the future?
There is an existing fence, and I do believe they intend to include fencing to match what is existing between this lot and the lot in front.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have more questions. Do we expect the applicant tonight or?
I'm hoping we're trying to get them here. Yeah.
Okay. I have some questions for the applicant, but I'll wait till later or we can.
Yeah, before I go to the Richard's question, do you have a silver question? Yeah, if people in the audience could not make audible reactions or noises, this isn't time for you guys to talk. So please don't make any comments. Daphne, did you have a comment?
I do have a couple. I do have a question. Have variances been given on other similar flag lots near creeks in this particular area, this area of the Highlands? I see that there are other flag lots.
I don't believe in this particular area, and I think why this is coming up now is most of the homes in the area were built in like the 60s and 70s or even 50s. So the creek setback standards from Valley Water didn't exist. Most of the surrounding homes would not meet today's standards with regard to the creek setback.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I was curious about 1280 just because it looks.
Yeah,
it
that
does
is
look really close to the creek.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
it
I know
wouldn't
that's
comply.
not.
And then we're doing variance 101 tonight, I feel like. So another issue about variances is because another parcel received a variance is not a finding or evidence that this property should get a variance. So you don't say, oh, well, how many, so-and-so got a variance, then I should be entitled to it. You look just specifically for this property and its specific unique characteristics.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Shelley. And then my second question was was a follow-up to Joe's about the tree. I don't know exactly. I couldn't tell exactly where the trees were or where the roots were. But is it fair to say that tree would have to come out even with a different building, a 2,200 square foot, one-story building?
I mean, we evaluated the project that was proposed to us. I mean, potentially an alternative smaller building footprint could have resulted in that tree being preserved. But yeah, we sort of had to consider the constraints of the site and what was being proposed, and staff's determination was that the finding for removal of that tree could be made.
For this proposal. Thank you.
Richard, did you have one? Sorry.
Little questions on the, excuse me, on the building of the house. Now, typically, the zoning administrator deals with the construction, the plans and so forth. And yet we're talking tonight as a planning commission about the variances. I thought that we were going to focus on the variances, understanding that there's a 3,469 square foot home that's to be built. Should the size of the home and the ADU enter into our discussions, or are we really just dealing with the variances on a flag lot? Now, I can recall, since I've been on the board, Chair, here, 3 or 4 flag lots that we've addressed, strictly to address the fact that they were a flag lot with, in fact, one was on the creek that you back up to. So does the fact that we're talking about the size of a house and an ADU, does that fall into our?
So the size of the house meets the objective standards for lot coverage and floor area ratio. So we couldn't like require a smaller house. We don't have like a maximum house size standard. I think it's relevant to the design review in a way. And we cannot prevent them from having an ADU or, we would have to approve it as long as it complies with the objective standards for ADUs.
Yeah, Joe.
I just had one more. It's very rare to find a vacant lot in Los Altos. So any idea why this lot has remained vacant for so long? Was it owned by somebody nearby and they just gave it up a few years ago, or?
I wasn't able to find that much detail about why the lot was vacant for so long. I know that it was created, I believe, in the 60s. I think around the same time the house in front was built.
Right.
It seems like maybe the subdivision occurred at that time, and I'm not sure why it's remained vacant since. I can say the house in front was also recently sold, I think maybe at the same time as this rear lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it seemed like the subdivision happened in the 60s and then all of those were built except for one.
Yeah,
And
I'm not sure. It seems like perhaps they were owned by the same owner and then sold.
Oh, I
But
see.
I'm not sure. That's
The front and the rear possibly, but
I
we
could be
don't know.
wrong.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I don't know if Eric has it.
Oh, Eric, yes.
Yes, thank you. I do have a few questions. To get back to that poor Coast Oak, Brittany, who owns it? It seems to me that it's in the Water District easement.
So it's actually, I think the
D-
site plan is a bit
I guess let me
confusing.
let me
Yeah.
jump ahead to
Oh,
the
sorry,
question
go
I
ahead,
really want to
go ahead.
ask. Yeah, which is, does Valley Water have to say yes if they're going to take that tree out?
So it's not within Valley Water's easement. It's within the 25-foot top of bank setback, which is different.
Okay, which is our setback, basically.
So it's a setback requirement from Valley Water. So there's the top of bank, which is actually
Mhm.
lines up with the edge of their easement. If the tree
Right.
was within their easement, then there may be some additional restrictions. The tree is between the edge of it's within the 25-foot setback from top of bank, but it's not within
Okay.
Valley Water's easement.
Okay, all right. So the homeowner owns the tree.
Correct.
Yeah, or can control it. Let's put it that way. It doesn't have to go seek somebody else's. Okay. That answered one question, and some of my other questions I had, you've already, to the extent that you can say anything, because all you know is what you know, and the applicant isn't here. Some of this I will save for our discussion. There is one question, and you may or may not know the answer to this, and it's perfectly fine if you don't. Thank you, by the way. It was a very nice report, so I want to thank you for its completeness. What's the rear setback of 1270 of the front house?
I do not know.
You
I
don't
could
know?
try to
Okay.
estimate it.
Yeah, give it a shot. We won't hold you to it. Just give it a shot.
I mean, maybe let me do some measuring and then I can get back to you.
Okay. Well, my question is, if you have a 13-foot setback, front setback for this house, okay, and then there's some other distance between the lot line and and I'm sort of interested in knowing how, because the picture makes it look as though they were cuddled up against each other, and that I think is probably not true. And so I'd be curious to know what the separation is between the two houses actually. And then I think other questions I had were specifically about the plans or things that you wouldn't be able to answer. I mean, because you didn't do the plans. You just reviewed them. And I would be particularly interested in L-01, which is the landscape plan. And I think that you said what you could. about that. I'm sorry. I'm a different one. AS.01, which I think is the first set of plans. And if you go all the way down to the bottom of it, it talks about the trees to be removed, and it looks like there are some red lines in there that look like fences. I guess they're intended to be the fences.
I,
Now, are those?
yeah, I can
yeah,
clarify. That was, so there is
Okay.
a drafting error on the site plan showing an X through a tree to be removed. That's actually the neighbor's tree, and I've clarified with
Right.
the applicants that was an error, so they're gonna
Yeah.
fix that with their building permit submittal. That's,
Right, right,
the
'cause
arborist report and landscape plan don't have that. It was an error.
Right. But these red lines where it says this is the tree protection fence, is that something they intend to build, or?
Yes, that's
Okay.
recommended by their arborist.
Okay, and that's in the exact zones that are marked there. I see 3 zones. I'm not sure exactly where do they plan to put fences? Let me ask that, and you can tell me where they plan to put fences. That was sort of Joe's question, and
So they plan to put fences. I think what's there's like several different layers on this sheet. It's sort of
Mhm.
a little convoluted. They did provide a specific tree protection plan in the arborist report, which typically we don't attach the arborist report, but essentially they're going to install a tree protection fence around their neighbor's tree, and then basically a fence along the entire back of the site, protecting all of the trees at the rear of the site.
on the creek side.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I have a stupid question along the way. When we talk about the right side and the left side, which is the right side and which is the left side? So the one with the ADU, is that the right side or the left side?
Well, I think they refer to it as the front and the side. So
Yeah, but you know, I'm interested in the 2 different sides of the house. That is, the entrance is on one side and the ADU is on the other, if I
So-
understand correctly. The front is the one that it looks on the street, and the rear is the one that looks over the creek. Is
So for
that?
correct, for the purpose of determining setback, the
Uh-huh.
the front is the one that is parallel, closest to the
To
street.
the neighbor, yeah. Uh-huh.
They've oriented the house towards the side, which is not uncommon for
Right.
flag lots, but yeah, for the purpose of
Uh-huh.
setbacks, the front is, closest to the street.
Right, but I'm interested in knowing right from left. When you talk about right setback and left setback, which would you call the right setback? There's the one with the ADU and the one that isn't with the ADU. So which is right and which is left?
The right would be with the ADU.
ADU. Okay, so as you're looking from the street.
Yeah.
Okay, it's to your right. Okay, and I can figure out the back. Yes, I mean that's the. I grew up in a house with where the front door was in the back, so none of this is strange to me. That explains a lot. Yes, it does.
we've heard this
One
before.
day. Oh, anyway. So I don't care where the door is. I want to know my right from my left, which is a challenge for me. Okay.
And to answer
So-
your earlier question, it looks like it's the house at 1270 Montclair, based on just rough estimations, is set back about 18 feet from the property line. So
Okay.
not a conforming setback, but
Well, that house was built in 1963, and I'm sure there were no. In fact, I went on the GIS viewer, and this will be in anticipation of the discussion. I went on the GIS viewer and looked at the other properties, and so I have a few actual numbers to use in talking about that. But I won't ask you any questions because that's I know the answers. So okay, let me see if there was something else that I wanted to ask that I can ask you. I think that's all I can ask you, and if the applicant comes, I'll have some more questions for the applicant, and there we will be.
Okay.
And then other things for discussion purposes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Joe, you had a question? Oh, okay. Susan?
Just a quick one, Brittany. Because of the creek, is it possible to build a basement in that area, or do you have a water table issue? Do you know?
so the flood zone does not actually, there's no conflict between the edge of the flood zone and the house. So potentially they could build a basement, in theory.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. I guess since the applicant isn't here yet, we'll move on to public comment. Are there any speaker cards? Yeah, you gotta bring your speaker
have
card.
to fill out.
Speaker card?
Well, he can speak and fill it out
Yeah, you can fill it out later. Oh, you can go
No,
right
no,
here.
no.
This one.
You can go,
Get the special
Yeah.
place.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yes. Thanks.
you'll have,
for-
you'll have 2 minutes.
Okay.
And just state your name.
Yeah.
and-
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Imagine Yan. I'm the owner of 1270 Montclair Way, and my wife is also here. So we do have a very strong concern on the setback of the, especially because we're next to the lot, and the 5 feet 4.5 inch is we don't think is adequate. We think it's too close, and there's also we were planning to actually ask the owner to also plan for the privacy trees in between the new house and the fence, which seems to be also pretty challenging if you keep that small space. So we think we don't agree with the proposal here. Yeah, that's the opinion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, please fill out your comment card and give it to staff when you're done. Yes.
So this is Tian Chong Lo. I'm also the owner of 1270 Montclair Way, which is the house in front of it. So I want to back my husband, like we have super strong concern for the privacy of the only 5 feet setback behind the fence, which actually expose our backyard very closely to the building. And I think I want to insist that I think we should follow the code. And I think we should not make some exception in this area, because the whole neighborhood is worried that if we make one exception and then all the following start to follow this exception, and the neighborhood becomes worse and worse. So that's my concern. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, my name is Dan. I live on 1280 Montclair, and I've been probably the longest, 23 years. So I have the same concern about the variance, because if they build that house, their front door gonna look at my house. That the fence 1280. So 25 feet, you reduce to 13 feet, it's really close. I mean, you can see everything in my house. So that's the main thing. And same thing for them, 5 feet, it's too close to the side, to the creek. So that's the main thing for us to come here today. It's just the variance, the borderline, the setback. I think we should keep it as it, the regulation. It's been like that for years, so I think we just have to keep that. Otherwise, one person can do this, the next person in the neighborhood is gonna do the same. Someone new gonna come in, develop, and do the same. At the end, Los Altos gonna be like this, like this, like this. So that's the main concern for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up.
Hi, Eric Venable. I am, same team, long time, Los Altos resident. I'm the 2 flag lots. I sit on the other side. Dan lives right behind me. Yeah, that house, I go, Dan, that house would be almost, if they moved it that far up, would almost be as close to my house as your house. Me 2 lots away. When the family sold that house, so they've owned that lot from since the 60s. You were correct. And when Bill passed away, we talked about this with the children, because we said, hey, there's that oak back there. I don't know how they're going to develop this property. And in fact, a young couple came by. They went down to planning because they were looking at building a house much smaller than this. I think even under 2,000 square feet. And we were texting back and forth because they wanted to know the neighborhood and they wanted to develop it themselves. And they said, look, we can't do it, because when we went to planning, they said we wouldn't be able, with these variants, to put a house on the site. So for me, it's a shock that they go, this one, this is a developer coming in to do it. A family that with 3 little kids wanted a guy. He works at Apple. He goes, we wanted to live here and build a house here, a small house, under 2,000 square feet. And so he was told after meeting once and then twice, because I go, how are you going to get a variance with this tree? Because we thought, the tree it was like a beautiful tree, but it sits right in the middle of the place. I don't know how you're going to do it unless you're able to take out the tree. And we know that most of the time you can't. All that to be said, they decided not to put a bid on the property because they would not be able to really build a house less than half this size of what's being proposed. So there was a little bit of I don't think the word justice, but it's kind of like, all of a sudden now we're going to make a house much bigger than all our houses around that and go right up to our fence lines in order to get away. And then that developer, God bless him, I appreciate builders, but they're going to be gone and we're going to have somebody else.
Could I just ask your address?
Yeah.
1290.
Okay, so you're the house in front of 1280?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. No, that's okay. Any other comments? No? Okay. So I will close public comment, and then I will open it up to discussion for the Planning Commission. Who would like to go first? Anyone? Joe? Go for it.
Sure. So I live on Hale Creek, and it is not a flag lot, so it's not identical to this situation. Nor did I build a property, but I'm very familiar with the property line issues and the setbacks and everything else involved. I've always been an advocate of people being able to do what's within the law on their property. If they want a pink house, you probably heard me say this before, and it's within the bounds of our standards, then they should be able to put up a pink house. This property, this development concerns me greatly. Number one, the developer didn't even show up, and that kind of upsets me. We're all investing our time, not available to ask any questions to them, and I have quite a few. But ignoring the ADU, which if for those either on the commission or in the audience who don't understand, ADUs, I believe it's a 4-foot setback, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why I was asking earlier about, are we considering the ADU or not? The ADU can be within 4 feet of the property line. That's law, and we have to deal with that. The rest of the project, I understand the issues with moving back from the creek, and in fact, our house is exactly 25 feet from the top bank of the creek, which I believe is the number, correct? So, given the privacy concerns, and there are 1, 2, 3. Well, I don't know if the 1288, 1290 is that a single house or is that 2 houses? Single house. Okay. There's a number of properties around this. I feel like these people bought their properties, some in recent years, with an expectation of what might happen there, and I'd be very reluctant to grant a huge variance on the setbacks. Yes for the ADU, but since we're not considering that, in the front yard, I understand that 25 might be very difficult because it's the right side of their house, even though it's the front of the flag lot. So I'm willing to consider a smaller setback for the rest of the house that abuts 1270. But on the other sides, which would be the right side and the left side of the property as we're referring it today, it seems to me that they should honor those setbacks. And again, maybe we consider something smaller, but 5 feet or 4.5 feet or whatever it kind of varies on here. That seems excessive, and it just feels like the developer is really trying to cram this very large house into a very small space. So that's one concern. I would try and convince my fellow commissioners that we push back on the setbacks to something more reasonable. And then the coast live oak, those are beautiful trees. I understand if there was no way around getting rid of it, but I think perhaps if this house were more reasonably sized, that tree could be saved, because you know, I would love to have that tree in my backyard. We have several of them, and in fact just put in another one to help with some of the erosion control. So so that would be my second concern. My third is I thought these plans were really difficult to understand. For example, I wanted to know where the fences would be in the proposed house, and I could not figure it out. That was the first time on my time on the planning commission where I couldn't see where the lines were. And I wasn't asking about the temporary fence protection with the neighbor's tree X'd out, which I thought was very odd. So thank you for clarifying that. But I would want to see the, you know, proper size fencing at the expense of the developer put in on all of the sides that have neighbors abutting. It seems like the neighborly thing to do. So those are probably my biggest concerns. And the question I wanted to ask the developers is if they had spoken to the neighbors. And so, you know, I don't know that we'll get the answer to that tonight, but I guess we could ask the neighbors if we wanted to later. But I was just curious if this, since it's on the market, and I did look up the listing, it was listed not too long ago with the renderings and the, what did you say it was, in planning?
In planning process or something.
Right,
to that
which
effect. I
is
looked it up as
accurate,
well.
which is accurate. So it feels like this is get some enhanced entitlements and flip the property, which maybe we shouldn't be considering. But that factored into, like, had they actually talked to any of the neighbors about how this new home would be dropped into the center of 4 other homes that surround it. So I'll pause there and maybe come back later for more.
Okay, thank you. Susan, do you want to go next?
I echo pretty much all of what Joe said. I'm inclined to not grant any of these requests tonight. I would say to the applicant, if you want to come back with something which is more reasonably sized for the lot you purchased with the restrictions you purchased, and be considerate to the neighbors who purchased their properties, assuming that these restrictions would hold, come back to us. I would also suggest maybe they consider putting in a basement if they want more space. I understand the economics. You want to have a bigger house in Los Altos. Things are expensive here. Consider a basement. And I would probably even be more inclined to approve a second story, which I know currently is not allowed there, than I am to approve this house. So I think the developer needs to come back, but also be very cognizant of, he bought a house with these restrictions or bought a lot with these restrictions. He needs to show respect for the neighbors when he designs anything. And same issues with the tree, so.
Could I just add on to that?
Yeah, sure.
I thought it was good that it was a 1-story design, because that helps with the privacy issue. So if they, it had to be?
It's, my understanding from reading your report is, in
Yes,
that
for
area,
flag
it has
lot.
to be a 1-story lot
All
on
flag lots in the R110 zoning district are
That's why I said
restricted
I'd
to
be more
1 story.
inclined to consider a 2-story if that's allowed.
I thought I read something that there was a 2-story nearby, but maybe I'm mistaken. So I thought that was good, and I was worried that to the extent we constrain the envelope, then that means they go up, which, yeah. But so they cannot build 2-story on this lot. Okay, thank you.
They could ask for permission to build 2 stories on that
They
lot.
could have included that in their variance request, but they opted to propose a 1 story.
Right, but a future person could propose a 2-story.
Yeah.
Ask for permission for a 2-story, yeah.
Yeah. Richard, do you want to go next?
Sure. Do we have a picture of the oak tree? Do you have a photo there?
I can pull one up.
Great.
Yeah, it'll take me a minute.
I agree with most of what Joe said. The side backs are a real concern. If the house in the front has 18 foot to the rear of the, from the back of the house to the fence, and then we have another proposed 13 feet, that's only 30 feet, and that's very, very close. But that's more livable to me than having 5 foot from the side, even though the ADU is going to be on the right side and it has 4 foot setback. But on the left side, then the house would go way over, effectively across the flag lot, across the driveway. and it just doesn't seem reasonable. And I didn't even consider a two-story because when I read the zoning, you can't put a two-story on a flag lot, so that's all I have for right now.
Okay, thank you. Daphne, do you want to go next?
Sure. I mean, I think, given the rules about ADUs, I think which is 4 feet, right, from the fence line, from the side fence line. I think it's reasonable to ask for a setback on the sides that's more than that. I realize it's significantly more than like a single family home setback, which is apparently 15 feet. But they're asking for a 5 foot, almost 5.5 foot setback on the rear, on the right and the left sides. You know, I don't know. I feel like people should be able to build what they want on the lands that they bought. I do think that it would have been beneficial for the builder to be here to answer questions. And I think it's odd for someone who is not part of the neighborhood and is submitting this plan and has not talked to the neighbors to not show up. I think that's weird. And to your point about dropping a house in the middle of a lot of other houses, I get that too, because this house is situated such that there's a lot of neighbors. But yeah, I mean, I just think that, you know, based on the staff report, the building envelope without the setbacks is 2,200 square feet or whatever they said, and I just feel like someone's going to build a 2-story, or it's going to ask for a 2-story house on that, which would be possibly larger and possibly more invasive for the neighbors, because then they can look into your properties. So I think that might even create less privacy for you than something being very close to the fence. I will say from personal experience that nobody wants to look into your house. Like, you don't want to look into their house and they don't want to look into your house. So when people talk about, they're going to just be able to look into my dining room and see us eating, like, people don't want to do that. So that's just my experience with building a house in Los Altos. So that's kind of where I stand.
Thank you. Eric, do you want to go next?
I will go next. I echo the reservations of those who've already spoken, and I do have some specific thoughts about this. I will say that with respect to the privacy issue for the building in front, if there is in fact a fence built, a 6-foot fence built between the two, and it is what Joe was talking about, having a 6-foot fence and having that on all the way around, then what's on that side is the garage, a couple of bedrooms, and the ADU. And since it's currently at a single family level, I think the privacy risks are relatively small if there's a 6-foot fence and you have that configuration. If you have a second story, you're going to have additional concerns. And Daphne's comments come into play particularly there. So there are some parts of this that I think are workable. There are some parts to which I have objections, and that's one of the ones I think is workable. For the right setback, the side with the ADU, since they're planning an ADU, and I guess they're actually going to do it, even though it doesn't come before us. Basically, the 4-foot setback takes care of that question. In my view, they get to go within 4 feet because of the junior ADU. The roof is there. The rest of it comes back. On the other side, the left side, and what's next to that is two driveways, right? Am I speaking? Brittany, you sound as though you wanted to correct me when I'm saying the left setback.
No, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. The left setback, the one that's on the opposite to the ADU. There are 2 driveways, okay, before you get to any houses. And it does, I don't, except for the fact they want to make the biggest possible house they can, I don't know why they have to have that close a setback to the property line. The normal R110 setback, as the report pointed out, would be 10 feet instead of the 15 feet. And I could see a compromise where they would have the 10 feet on that side. Again, what's happening on the right, really, we don't have much control over because of the ADU, if they're going to put that in, or if somebody wants to put one in. Then you know, but a compromise where instead of 15 feet, it is 10 feet, maybe even a little less, but 10 feet is something that I think we could work with. But I wouldn't want to see anything more than that, and I'd prefer to see something smaller. So that would be that would be my position on that. As far as the oak tree, the poor oak tree, well, I'm afraid that it's going to go. I did, however, spend a little bit of my time looking at the GIS viewer, which is a wonderful resource, because one of the aspects of the variance rules is that the issue is that the design standards applied will prevent the person seeking the variance from enjoying the same benefits as the neighboring properties. So I looked at some of the neighboring properties, including some of the ones we heard about tonight. And there are, of course, as we've learned, none of them. The most recent one is from 1966. And this is 10 different properties, 10 different homes. To the either side of this house, everything is a flag lot situation. And so we have, they were built between, some of them were built before 1963. There were 4 of them that were built before 1963, and who knows what rules were applying then. And they tend to be smaller houses. And as far as sizes are concerned, they are almost uniformly 2,500 square feet or smaller. Now, again, they were built a long time ago. Standards are different, the expectations are different, markets are different, etc. But the largest one that I could find was at 1242. It's a flag lot, and that the structure is 4,771 square feet. So basically the same size as what's proposed here, but it's on a 0.41 as opposed to 0.35 acre. So it's a larger lot. Okay, it's a slightly larger house, but in the same bailiwick, if you will. And the other one is at 1266, and it's a slightly larger lot, 0.41, and it's at 3425, and that was built back in 1966. And the really big one was built in 1956. So who knows what was going on there. The other ones all tend to be in the between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet, and I'll be happy to share these numbers with and type them up and send them off to everybody. So it does seem to me that the context here, if I can use that word, is not used in the variance law, but the surrounding properties, those who have benefited from them, and it's granted it's been 60 years for most of them, do not match what is being asked here. Okay, and I think that is a legitimate consideration for looking at the variance and possibly suggesting modifications, whether it's a second story and a smaller footprint or just a smaller footprint. Finding a way to trim 5 feet off the left setback, for example, it doesn't seem to me a huge challenge when you've got that big a house and you can take a foot here and a foot there. And I'd be interested to know what Maris thinks about that because he has much more familiarity with this sort of thing than I have. But generally speaking, that part of the world is smaller houses on smaller lots. And the only houses that are bigger or the same size are ones that are significantly bigger. This is 0.35 acres. The other ones are 0.4 something. Okay, and that's in that world is pretty big. And so I think that we are not. I would be loath to say yes. As I say, there are some parts that I'm fine with. I'm fine with the front setback. Okay, if there's going to be a fence. Okay, I accept the right setback because if there's an ADU plan, then the only place to put it is where they're going to put it, and presumably that's part of what they're planning, and that pretty much, as I say, defines the limit line as far as I can see. And the rear setback complies with whatever the requirements are of Valley Water, and that seems to be the case. So where I would see a place for them to modify their expectations is to reduce or to increase the setback on the left side. And again, it would not be unreasonable for us to think in terms of 10 feet rather than 15 feet, which would give a little bit more lightness to it, and would do something. And the ones next door are 1280 and 1290. I think, yes, they're the ones, and they tend to be smaller. Interestingly, and this is just curious, when you look at all of these, the flag lot is always bigger than the front lot, considerably bigger. So, and in this case, the smaller lot got the smaller house, and nothing was done with the rear lot. This is the only undeveloped lot in Los Altos, I suppose, but the only undeveloped lot along this thing that has been developed, it was developed 60 and 70 years ago. So those are my thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you so much, Eric. Just a question. If the applicant does come, oh, they're coming?
I do believe the applicant is present.
Oh, okay. What's the protocol here? Can we ask questions?
Yeah, I'd open the public portion of the hearing
Okay.
and allow them, if they have a presentation, to put on their presentation, and then you could ask questions of them after they put on their presentation.
Okay.
Or if they're just here to answer questions, you can ask them to come up and ask questions, but reopen the public hearing
Okay.
portion.
So I will reopen the public hearing section, and I will allow the applicant if they want to present or answer questions. Do you have a presentation or? Okay. Do you, let's just ask does anyone have questions for the applicant?
Can he introduce himself?
Yeah.
You want me to come up here?
Yeah. Oh, let me turn that on. Okay.
Working?
Yeah.
I'm Dennis Sanchez. I'm the owner and CEO of NorCal State Builders. We're the project managers for the owners of the property. Sorry for being late. We got conflicting dates or times for the meeting. So, yeah, so I'm happy to answer any questions from.
Joe, do you have a question?
Yeah, and I still want to hear your comments at some point.
Oh, yeah. No, we'll come back to
so-
mine after we close it. Yeah.
So the owner is not here?
No.
Is the owner a resident or?
No, he lives in LA County. Yeah.
Okay. So is it anticipated that, like we saw the house was on the market, is it intended to be sold now before it's built or?
So the intention originally was for him to buy, develop, and move into the property. He's in the process of moving his medical practice up here, and his son is applying to go to school in the area. So it's kind of up in the air if he gets accepted into Stanford or not. And then also he recently purchased another property in Palo Alto that kind of fit his needs a little bit better. So he decided to try to sell the property with a planning approval, if possible, to do that. But
Okay.
it's still up in the air as if he would move in and live in the property. But he's building it to suit his needs, as to have his family live in the property.
And then have either you or the owner spoken to any of the neighbors of this property?
Yeah, we did a neighborhood notification, knocked doors, spoke to whoever answered, and was able to talk to us.
Okay. So how many neighbors did you speak to?
We walked whatever I forget the circumference, but we went outside that another maybe 100 feet. So we spoke to about maybe 15 or 20 people were physically there and spoke with us.
And any of the direct neighbors who are seated behind you?
No. Nope.
Well, these are the neighbors that really matter because
Okay.
they're right next
They're all
door.
around us.
They surround the building, so you might get a sense why they might be here tonight.
Yep.
And then I was curious about the Coast Live Oak. So I haven't seen it, but I have one, and I imagine it's a beautiful old ancient tree. Was there any thought given to saving the Coast Live Oak?
Yeah, 100%. So we went into this, and us as representatives of the owner, wanting to be able to put a footprint for a property that would be as less intrusive on the neighbors as possible. That's why when we went to ask for the variance, we didn't ask to go up. And even with the 20-foot height requirements, we were not trying to build like a loft situation or something like that to squeeze out every square footage. We decided to ask for a variance on the flag lot and the easement issues to be able to squeeze as much property as possible. The live oak, the very first step, even before purchasing the property, was to have an arborist come out and take a look at the property. They did responsible hedging to the property, to the live oak, and there's a very large branch kind of running directly through where the property would go. We asked the arborist if it was possible to save the live oak, and according to them, that taking off that large branch would likely damage it to a point where it should be removed. So we've explored the option. There's a substantial amount of the tree that's not that the canopy does not affect our building, but the large branch is kind of like going right towards where the building would be.
Got it. Okay. And then my last question is around fencing. So is it anticipated that you would fence the entire property with a 6-foot fence or whatever?
Yeah, and we'd be amenable to doing whatever type of fencing or landscaping to protect the privacy of the neighbors. That's the utmost importance to us, is to just have like a comfortable place for the clients to build a property and live in, hopefully.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just puzzled. They bought a property with restrictions that were well-known and presumably to the buyer, could have been known to the buyer, that would have a footprint of the house of I don't know, somewhere between 2,000 to 2,200 square feet, given the restrictions. You've come to us with a proposal for 3,700, 3,400 square feet. That just puzzles me why the owner would buy this property expecting to get variances in this neighborhood.
And I can explain a little bit of what went on behind the scenes. When purchasing the property originally, we were provided with a plat map that was, or not a plat map, a drawing of where the property lines were, and the easement wasn't clearly defined at the top of the bank. It was defined as a center of the creek, which, based off the information that my client had in hand when purchasing the property, he assumed that we could build a property. We sent that in for planning, for review. It got kicked back. We had this major discussion. We did not ask for any sort of adjustments to the easements or anything like that on our first go around. We were trying to fit within the envelope and fit with all the rules. But then with that setback requirement off the back of the property, because of the top of the bank, it really dramatically changed everything to the point where we could only build like a 12 to 1,500 square foot property.
Did the applicants consider building a basement?
No, it didn't really come in because we were in a flood zone, so we assumed that it wasn't a possibility.
Planner told us no.
Okay.
So I believe a portion of the lot is located within the flood zone. I think it doesn't encroach into the footprint of the building. So potentially a basement could be a possibility, but yeah, I don't think that it was ever proposed.
Seriously explored.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Eric, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple questions about trees, but not. I'm sorry, I'm virtual, so I'm on the screen. Yes. Normally I'm there. It has to do with the replacement trees, and I don't know whether this is for you or for Brittany, and one of you can, or both of you can answer it. You're proposing planting 3 laurel trees to replace the ones you're taking out. That's part of the proposal. If I look at the landscape plan, which is page L-101 of the plans, I just want to be clear on what, and if we can call that up on the screen. At the left side setback area, the left side of the property, there are 3 gray circles. Is that where it's proposed that they be planted to your knowledge, or do you know? Do you have any idea?
Yes, that's correct.
That's okay. All right. and I can understand why that's sort of, if I can't do directions here in Los Altos, but I think that's the west side. If you're facing north, the west is to your left. Does that seem right? West, southwest, northwest, one of those wests.
Yeah, that would be like southwest.
Yeah, okay. And so obviously that's so that it doesn't get too hot in the afternoon, that sort of thing. You indicated a willingness to plant things. It does seem to me that the laurel trees might be better suited if they could be planted. And you're not a landscape architect, and I'm not, but if they could be planted, say next to the fence that would be between 1270, the front house, and this house, that might go a long way towards allaying the concerns about that there might be about um, privacy, in addition to the fence, in addition to what's on that side and that sort of thing. I don't know if you caught the comments I made earlier, but that everything that's on that side of the house is things where people aren't necessarily going to be looking out the windows. The bedrooms, there's the garage, there's the ADU. Who knows what the ADU will do? But we're not considering that, and so that the all the windows that one would look out of are on the other side, looking out over the creek, and of course that's where the plate height goes from 10 to 15 feet as well. So it seemed to me that was a good rational decision. Planting trees would be a good neighborly decision. Is that something that could be considered?
Yeah, absolutely. And the design of the property, the ADU, especially considering the front property, was all designed specifically to not have windows facing into their living space. Really trying to keep that in mind as much as possible. We're totally okay to put any sort of like foliage or trees that are needed to help with neighbor protection for sure.
Yeah, because it seems to me that on the where the trees are now, it's mostly sun protection, which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is Los Altos. We love trees, and 3 or 4 more trees along the front would not be probably would not be, and the laurels would be fine. I mean, because they will grow up and out, and they don't have nasty roots the way that some of these other trees have. So that's a fair choice that way. Okay. I don't know, since the applicant isn't here, and I don't want to put you in the position of answering for the applicant, because this would be like making a choice. I will not ask the question I had in mind, which was about the size and the setback. So thank you. I think you've answered the question, and thank you very much, and thank you for coming.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
so much to the applicant. You can sit now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So with that, I will close the public hearing portion again, and I will go back to discussion. So I'll just give my 2 cents. I think I'm in the minority, which is different. So I've always thought that the side setbacks in Los Altos, especially for the R110, are excessive. I think 10 feet side setbacks are excessive, so obviously 15 feet is more excessive in my opinion. On the diagram in the staff report, you can see that only a portion of the house actually extends over the setback. And so I don't feel like it's a massive amount of area that's intruding over. Also, the fact that the house has the attached ADU, which has the 4-foot setback, which is allowed, and then to think that we would ask them to move the main residence 11 feet back when it's all part of the same house. I don't think that makes sense to me. And then finally, the front setback requirement and the front yard landscaping requirement. So I don't think these two things should even be held to the same standard when it's a flag lot, because the whole purpose of front setbacks and front yard landscaping is curb appeal. It's for street-facing homes. So when a house is on the back of a flag lot, I don't think it should be held to the same standard. So, the front setback in this drawing is really just the distance between the rear house and the front house, which is probably roughly 30 feet, now that we know that it's maybe 18 feet plus the 13 feet. So I think that's more than enough. I think one of the public comments said that, something like this would create a precedent. I think that's a good thing. I don't see anything wrong with creating this precedent. I think, it was said more neighbors are going to come in here and ask for the same thing. That's a good thing. So I don't understand that comment. And then another public comment said it's an injustice because the homeowner didn't go through the process the developer did. That's development. That's what you call development. So I don't agree with that. Just because the developer knows how to come in here and ask for variances and try to get a home built, we shouldn't fault him for doing that. So that just doesn't make sense to me at all. So yeah, I'm in approval of all 4 of the variances that are being requested. And I might be in the minority, but those are my thoughts. And we can have a discussion and go from there.
Well, let me jump in then. Can I jump in quickly?
Yeah.
Just to follow up on what you said, Maris.
Sure.
Which is on the issue of the variance as precedent, every single variance request is a separately adjudicated issue. The fact that it happened one time does not mean it will happen another time because of the way the rules are done. So people may try, but the fact that if we approve this variance, that doesn't mean we will approve it for the guy 6 houses down the street. So I wouldn't worry about that particularly. I join you in thinking that is not an issue that we need to contend with. And I don't disagree with most of what you said, except that I would like to see a little bit more room on the left side. But if we can't get it, that they would have to agree to modify it. And the question is, what do we do if they don't agree to modify it? And they're not here to tell us, unfortunately. So we're going to have to make a decision one way or the other. Okay, and as I say, I agree about the 30 feet, and if there's a fence, and given the way the house was actually designed, okay, where nobody's going to be looking out any of the bedroom windows into whatever would be on the other side with a 6-foot fence. I mean, this is all one story, and they just wouldn't be able to see. And I don't know enough about the ADU, but it looks like that it was designed with the same kind of idea in mind. And as I said, on the right setback, the 4 feet determines everything. And it really, it seems to me that closes off any discussion of that. The rear setback is set by Valley Water rules, and it complies with that. So the only thing that's left is the left setback. And as I pointed out, the next thing to it is two driveways, okay, belonging to this house and to the other one. So it may be a somewhat academic point. I think that this is significantly larger for the lot size available than any other house on that street that's within, certainly within the 300 feet. That's partly, again, because those houses were built 60 years ago, in some cases 70 years ago and more. And people just didn't build houses that were that large in those days. The larger houses tend to be on larger lots. This is a large house on a medium-sized lot. Okay, 0.35 is sort of average range, if you will. And some of the lots are much smaller. So it seems just a little bit out of proportion. That's the only concern I have is, and maybe it's because it's 2026 and we build everything huge, like ballrooms. So, I mean, I'm sort of with you, but not all the way. I'm 90% with you on that. Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Joe, did you wanna? Oh, yeah.
Question for staff. Do we know what on the left side, do we know what the setback is from the house on the flag lot on the left side? You're gonna have to get your.
On the neighboring property?
The neighboring flag lot, yes.
Let me do some measuring
I
and
would
get back
think
to
you
you.
get your calculator out again.
Yeah, that would be 1280, by the way.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
also, I mean, I also have a question.
Yeah.
Aren't property is allowed to have 2 ADUs? I mean, that, you could be close to the lot line on both sides, correct?
It'd have to be a separate ADU, right?
It could be
Yeah.
a one attached, a JADU and an ADU. I mean,
They have a junior ADU here, so.
You could technically have 3 ADUs.
yeah, but it's, this still, it still stands that
Yeah.
like, you could have a 4-foot setback on both sides if you had 2 separate ADUs on either side.
No, not for the main house, though. The separate ADU could be 4 feet, but the rest of the house could not be 4 feet with an ADU.
But if it was a separate
Right.
ADU,
The separate ADU could be 4 feet.
yes, okay, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
like a detached.
Yes, it
Yes.
detached, sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
So
Yeah.
under
Yeah.
Senate Bill 9, you can build a single-family home with 4-foot setbacks under SB 9. Unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately, but the fact that this property was located within the flood zone precluded it from utilizing Senate Bill 9.
So I still,
Okay.
yeah. So I agree with you with regards to the front setback, like asking them to do 25 feet from the rear of the other property is excessive. And I think they tried to address that. They're 13 feet other than the ADU. So to me, that feels not unreasonable. It's the left and the right sides where the ADU that we're not supposed to consider is not part of it. So I think a compromise could be struck where, and I don't know if we could vote to go back with different numbers, or are we just approving or not approving the project as is? For example, if I wanted to make a motion that one of the setbacks was a different number than is proposed, could we approve it with that condition, or would we just, is this a up-down vote on the current project?
I think it would be good to probably engage the applicant.
Yeah.
The
You
applicant's
could,
not
yeah,
here.
you could,
No, that is the applicant.
Oh, okay.
He is
so
They're
it's
the
a-
applicant's representatives.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're
and
speaking
you
on their behalf.
could, you could continue it with certain things that they would want to, may want to look at.
Okay.
Or then you can just deny it.
All right. Well, my inclination is to deny the project as is. So if that's what we're voting on, that's how I will vote. If we want to engage in a conversation around, maybe doing a little bit more on the right and the left sides, I disagree with my esteemed colleague Eric. I don't think there's just one side we're talking about here. I think the ADU, which that portion of the house, which again, we're not supposed to consider, is one thing, but houses have step backs frequently. My house has like 12 of them. So, and that was to give some articulation as well as to solve some setback issues in certain places. So I'd be happy to enter into that conversation, but if everyone else thinks it's okay as is, then I'll be in the minority. But that's kind of where I come out on this.
Yeah, and remember, if you're going to make a motion to deny this, on page 5 of the staff report, or 14 of 45, there are variance findings, and so you would need to make variance findings in the negative for this.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't planning on making a motion to not approve it.
Okay.
I was just planning to vote no on the motion to approve it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
thank you.
Joe, can I interrupt for a second to ask Jolie a legal question related to what she said? Would we have to find? Would we have to find negative for all of the conditions or just one? And I'm asking just in the abstract. I mean, just you do this and I don't.
I would say that you
So
would need to make them in all of them. The variance does not grant or authorize an activity. You would have to say the variance, you find that the variance would grant a use of the activity. You would have to make all of them in the reverse.
it's and.
I believe it's and, yes.
Okay. All right. That answers that question. Okay. Thank you.
I can go next.
See, I learned something.
I'm in the no camp on this one for the reasons that I've stated before. I think the applicant fully knew what he was buying when he bought this lot, notwithstanding the fact maybe he didn't do all his homework on what was the requirements from being on the creek. I think it's just too much to ask, and I rarely disagree with you, Maris, but I disagree with you on this one. I think the front setback, because it is so close to a neighbor, is important. It's not just curb appeal, it's privacy. And I kind of disagree also with people say no one's going to look at other houses. It's there. It's noise. It's a whole bunch of things. So I'm a no on any of these. I should say all of these.
Before we keep going, because I just want to figure this out. So, Joe, are you against all four, like as well as Susan? Are you in the same camp?
All 4 variances?
Yes.
No, the front is 13, so I'm okay with that. 'Cause
Okay.
that seemed, normal is 25.
Yes.
And one of the reasons I joined this commission is because a certain council member made somebody move. They were at 25 feet front setback and made them move 3 feet further back, taking away 3 feet from their backyard.
Oh, yeah,
that really
yeah.
pissed me off.
Yeah.
You might remember.
Yeah.
You might have been on the planning commission at that
Maybe,
point.
yeah.
And so like I understand that, but in this case, it's not the front setback. It's kind of the side setback,
Sure.
really, because it's the back of one house and the side of the other house. So I'm amenable to that, but and the top of the bank, we can't really mess with that, it sounds like. So I was just looking at, could we maybe give the sides a little bit more room, because right now it's, ignoring the ADU again, it's supposed to be 15 feet. And, if it were 10, I think that would be reasonable, but I didn't hear that we could make a motion to approve it with a 10-foot side setback or something like that.
Yeah, so maybe this is a
where-
question for Jolie or for staff. Maybe they're if we are for maybe 2 out of the 4 variances, we still have to vote no on the agenda. Is that correct? Like we can't pick and choose to approve 2 of the variances but not approve the other 2. Like if we deny it, we deny it. Is that true? Sorry.
Just looking for the ands for answering Eric's questions. Well, for each one of the variances, you would have to go and make like little mini findings that you grant the you denied the side yard setback variance because you can't make these findings, but you would grant another variance because you could make these findings.
Okay.
It will be very complicated, but each one has to be supported by either positive or negative findings.
Okay. I just want to do this in a very strategic way. So I'm just trying to figure out. I'm in support of all 4 of the variances, and I'm not going to change where I stand, which is fine. But if we have a majority on the commission, then I think that they should prepare a motion. So, like Susan, if you want to, or if someone wants to prepare, yeah.
Can we do a
Yeah,
straw vote?
that's what I was
Just
gonna
saying
say.
1, 2, 3, 4,
The other option, sorry.
Sure.
Then prepare the appropriate motion. 'cause
Yeah, the other option is they've heard all your discussion and maybe continue it and give the applicant a chance to maybe do some changing and bring it back.
But I think a straw ballot would be very good for the applicant, so he really gets a sense of where the commission
Yeah,
is
either
as
it's
a
going to be
whole. So we could
denied or
just
we'll continue
Okay.
it so
raise
you
our
can
hands
fix
and
it.
not have it be binding, but just give
Can
feedback.
I ask the applicant a question?
Can we? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Sorry. If the applicant could come up.
Would the applicant, the owner, consider changing some of the setbacks in order to gain more votes from this body?
I think that, when we looked at the footprint, we were really trying to go in asking for as little as possible to build what we felt was a reasonable footprint. And if you look at the side, I think the left side is what most people are concerned about. The property, the way it's shaped, the setback only goes to 5 feet at one point where there's a point of the property. And then it kind of tears away from the setback line. So although it does technically go over the setback, and we're asking for that variance, it's not a lot of space, and that's the entrance of the property. And regards to the front of the property, like, again, we designed it specifically that there's not a lot of living space over there, not a lot of windows. not a lot of, we're not trying to negatively affect the front house in any way.
Right.
And then the right side of the property, there's a driveway immediately there. So we felt when we were asking for variances that it was really very reasonable.
Okay.
And we weren't trying to squeeze out every single foot, like going 4 feet to each side. We were trying to, we literally had a discussion with NorCal State Builders and with the owners of the property to try to go in and ask for not everything, because we would assume that we'd have this conversation and that we would, obviously be put on the stand to talk about it, and we wanted to be shown in the best light. We're not trying to squeeze out every single inch. We're just trying to make a
So
good
to my
looking property.
question, the answer is no, I believe.
I think right now, we put a lot of thought into it.
Okay, so that,
Yeah.
and well, the point that is closest on the left side is very close to the gentleman's house. I think he's behind you. So I know his house is very close in that proximity also. The existing house is not shown on here, so it's hard to say exactly, but it looks like those two areas of the houses are very close to each other. So,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you can sit. So I think I don't want to speak for the commission, but I believe that there is mainly a discussion about the side setback variance requests. So I think the front yard landscaping variance request and the front setback variance request, maybe except for Susan, but I think those two, I believe, are okay with the commission, and it's really just the two side setbacks. So I think if we want to just create a motion for those two side setbacks and figure out what we want to do in terms of just denying it or continuing it, I think we should do that, and then just go from there. So, because I believe there is a majority that the commission that you guys have to do that.
Well, or maybe there's enough support. I'm not sure where Richard and Daphne are, but
Yeah.
Maybe there's enough of you who are okay with it as is, and I'll just be in the minority, or Susan and I, or whoever.
Yeah, if you guys.
I still have a question. Did you calculate what the side yard setback was on the left side between the property, our fence, and the flag lot in the back?
Yeah, it was hard to estimate. I did some measuring in GIS. It looks like at the closest point, it's about 10 feet.
Okay.
But that's just a
So that
ballpark.
would mean that effectively that the closest that we would be, if you will, would be 15 feet. They're 10, the 5 is good.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
and the 10-foot point it's like staggered. It's not
Understand.
sort of in line with the.
So 15 feet as opposed to 5 feet is a lot more palatable from an overall thought process. On the right side, we have the ADU, which we really can't do anything with because it's 4 foot. And we're set with that. So I have everything I need.
So,
Yeah,
sorry, so Richard, out of the 4 variances, which ones are you okay with? Which ones are you not okay with?
I'm okay with all of them.
Oh, you're okay with all of them? Okay.
So sorry if I could also interject. So if you deny components of the variance, I mean, it's not 4 separate variance requests, it's 1 variance request. They can't build this house, so they would have to revise it. So denying a component of it is basically denying the whole thing because they have to go back and redesign.
I see. So it's really just denying everything or moving it forward tonight. Okay.
But Stephanie,
Right.
if we were say you need more of a side setback, they can't build the house as currently designed, but they could design the house such that it would meet that requirement, correct? And they would not have to come back to us for that because we've already granted them variance. Why would that not work?
I guess that would kind of be a conditional approval, but their proposal before you is what's presented, and it's not guaranteed what they could redesign could meet your.
Well,
what
they
you-
may not,
what
that's
you
a
voted
choice they
to.
can make. They can either
Yeah.
redesign or they cannot redesign, but if they don't redesign, then they can't build the house. But if they want to build the house, they come back with a design that meets what we suggest is appropriate, or what we agree is appropriate as a variance, right? if we say we want a 10-foot setback, not a 5-foot on the side, they have a choice. They redesign it and work with staff and get approval, because then we're not involved with the 10-foot setback, or they choose to not build anything at all. I don't,
That's not an option tonight. I think it's just the variances are the options tonight. So you can continue this and they can come back with some other project with less variances requested, but right now, this is a variance request.
and the variances are a package deal. We can't separate them out.
I mean, from a planning perspective, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Can I add into this that one of the consequences of if we deny, one of the consequences is they can appeal to the council, and this whole debate will take place in front of the council, and you know that would be one alternative. So I mean I would be in favor, I guess, of a straight up or down yes or no. I can see where I like the idea of doing a conditional or a piecemeal sort of approval, but that's not the way that the thing is written, unfortunately. So I think we have to bite the bullet. Either we say yes or we say no, and then we can make it clear, and then everybody gets to see the YouTube video, so we can make it clear that they come back. If they come back with things that we lay out what we think is the appropriate thing. If they come back with the appropriate thing, we'll say yes, or they can go to the council and take their chances, and they have 14 days to do that. So, I mean, that's a decision that they would have to make, and that I just point that out. But anyway, you were going down the line to see.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
what we keep talking from like the legal variance findings and then what is like in front of you tonight and what can be actually done from the planning perspective. And what I think is really hard to grapple with tonight is you're looking at variances and making variance findings, and they're tied to this footprint of a house that it's hard to do that, to do all of this in a vacuum, because, I mean, even Susan's saying, well, if they would just move this side of the house and all of that, and that's, you're not going to see, if these variances are granted, the design doesn't come back under the new zoning. You don't, so the house will be designed with these variances, or if the variances are denied, they're gonna have to do a different type of house with maybe different variance requests, but it is sort of complicated. It's like, here, go grant these variances or deny these variances in a vacuum, and you're not going to see, and you want to redesign the house, and I can see everybody struggling with that, but what's in front of you tonight is just the variances, and I think that's what we're struggling with, is it's the planning kind of then versus the variance findings component.
Yeah, so I think what I would ask is if someone could make a motion to deny the resolution, and then we'll see if there's votes, and if not, then we'll go from there. But I think there might be more opposition than.
Oh, really?
I think we'd
Or
be,
maybe
I
it's
think
half
it's
and half.
easier to do a motion to approve the findings, and if it gets voted down.
Oh, okay.
then-
Yeah,
I
we can
just
do
think,
that.
because otherwise we have to say why we didn't find the findings, correct?
Sure, okay.
Well, I'm happy to do that.
Well, okay,
But,
you can do it either way.
I will make a motion to adopt the resolution approving design review, DR 25-0062, and the variance V 25-0001. I haven't done this in a while. Did I do it okay?
The city attorney can correct me, but I believe you might need to read the entire recommendation.
Okay.
You got this. You got to get the CEQA thing in.
And I can pull it up if that's helpful.
No, it's on the one on the staff report.
Yes.
Okay. Adopt a resolution approving design review DR 25-0062 for the construction of a one-story, 3,469 square foot single-family home, and variance V 25-0001 to allow a 13-foot front setback in lieu of the required 25 front setback 5 feet 4.5 inches and 5 feet 5.5 inches side setbacks in lieu of the required 15-foot side setbacks and 28% front yard landscape area in lieu of the required 50% front yard landscape area per the recommended findings and conditions of approval, and find the project is categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to section 15303 of the California Environmental Quality Act. And none of the circumstances stated in CEQA guidelines section 15300.2 apply. I hope I don't have to say that again. Okay, so there's the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, can we take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Beninado,
No.
Commissioner Mensinger,
No.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Steinle,
No.
Commissioner Roach,
Yes.
and Commissioner Ahi.
Yes.
This has never happened in my tenure.
Is it 3-3?
It is.
That's a failed
Then it
motion.
fails. Then it fails.
Yes.
So, are we done?
No.
No, you should make, then you should make a motion to deny
To-
it.
to
and
deny.
The findings, yes. You need to do something in the affirmative.
I'm sorry, so what do
Are
we
you-
need to do?
Well, I'm really torn because like we didn't even, there was some guidance on more landscaping and trees and other things. Like we didn't even talk about any of that stuff. But I guess if it fails, it doesn't matter. But
Well, we can continue. I mean, the fact that the motion failed doesn't necessarily, a different motion could be made. The question is whether that would bring anything of value.
Yeah,
I mean,
what could happen is, sorry to interrupt, but what could happen
Yeah.
is you make a motion now to deny, and I've seen this happen, then that fails a 3-3. So that's where you may end up.
And Eric, can
I'm
I ask?
confused.
Can I?
We make a second motion, this time to deny the variances as opposed to approve them, and we tie 3-3 presumably again. And where does that put us?
Then you have two failed motions, and so the project will be, a failed motion is essentially a denial, so.
but we already had a failed motion. So why do we need another failed motion?
Well, if you maybe you can get someone to switch sides.
Well, I have a question for Eric. I mean, Eric,
Yeah.
are we allowed to ask questions to other people?
Yeah.
yes, you may. I can refuse to answer, but you can ask me. Yes.
I mean, Eric, where is the sticking point for you? Is it the left side setback?
It's the left side setback, but it's also the size relative to the vicinity, which is one of the conditions. And this is massively larger, like 1,000 square feet larger than whatever is around it.
Yeah.
Now, and as I keep pointing out, that's partly because it was 60 years ago and people didn't build large houses then. But this will be the only in a place where nothing is going to move unless somebody knocks one of these houses down, and I'm not sure anybody can afford to do that in these circumstances. Given the size of the lot, given the size of the house that's being proposed, given the size of what's surrounding it, given what's next to it, I just think this is out of proportion, and there are things that can be done to fix it. Relatively straightforward things. It does involve redesigning the house to some extent, but it can be done. I think that this I don't like the idea of approving a house this size on this size lot in that stretch of Los Altos where everything is smaller. And everything faces the same problem. I mean, the problems with this, everything else is along the creek. All the things that I mentioned are all on the creek, or next to it, or so old that it doesn't really matter. And so they have they have similar design challenges, right? And the solution was not to build really large houses. And of course, people didn't build really large houses in those days either. There was a time when 2,500 square feet was a big house, right? And now it's barely larger than an ADU. So You know, I mean, it just sits wrong with me. So I guess I can't be more precise than that, Daphne, but that is my thought process.
I mean, I think
Oh.
if you take into consideration the new houses that have been built in the Highlands, you would
Mhm.
probably find a higher square footage than what is originally there that is 50 or 60 years old. So people are
Right.
trying to, you know, people are trying to maximize their lot size. Most people
Sure,
are trying to maximize their
I
lot size.
understand, but they're also larger lots. I mean, this is a small lot.
This is a 1.3 acre lot.
But it's
That
in the,
0.35, yeah.
driveway.
but it's in the center of 4 existing houses.
Yeah,
So,
it's at the expense of other people who live there, which is
Chair,
my
I have
issue with it.
I have a motion.
Oh, sorry. Richard has one question.
Go ahead.
For
Question
Stephanie.
for staff, and I know I should know this. The 3,469 square feet, does that include the ADU?
It does not include the ADU. It does
And
include
does
the
not
garage.
include the garage?
It does include the garage,
It
not the
includes
ADU.
garage.
Correct.
So we're really talking a house that's 3,000 square feet and not 3,469 square feet. Typical garage is around 440 square feet or so.
But we always include the garage.
I know,
yeah.
but it takes your house.
We're including the house then, but if it doesn't include the ADU, how many square feet is the ADU? And I realize we don't consider that, but how many,
Yeah, so the ADU is not part of
I know
the
that, how many
decision
square feet
tonight.
is the ADU?
Up to
1,200.
So they're conceptually showing a 723 square foot ADU.
So you're effectively talking about a
4,200 square
footprint of 4,300 square feet on that lot.
Yeah. Mhm. And Richard, to your question, 3,000 square feet is a big house in that neighborhood. And the only houses that exceed that are on bigger lots than this one is. This would be the smallest lot with the biggest house. So proportionally, it's out of sync with the others. Let's put it that way. So even though there are lots that are similar in size, they tend to have smaller houses. And in some cases, it's like 1,000 square feet difference. So I mean, typically, I mean, and I'll be happy to send this list to everybody so you can see what I'm working from, or you can go on GIS and look yourself. But they tend to be not more than 2,500 square feet.
And
So
a question for staff, if you take out the driveway, which is a big part of a flag lot, how big is the lot?
So the driveway area is included in that lot size.
Yes, I know that, but if you
Yeah.
took the driveway out, do you have any idea?
well, yeah, what's the
dimensions of
buildable
driveway?
area? I guess is what she's asking, right? The buildable area of the
Irrespective
lot.
of the creek issue.
Just to clarify, so tie votes are a failed motion, they're not a failed project. And I just
Right.
checked with the norms and Rosenberg's, and so a tie vote is a failed motion. So that's why I'm saying if you can maybe try another motion and flip it to a 4-2, that, because you need an affirmative to deny or approve. So, but I did check norms and our Rosenberg rules, and a tie vote is a failed motion, not a denial or so.
Is it?
And we can't.
Is there an option? I know maybe you don't want to do that, but is there an option to continue the project? Because
Sure.
I think it might end up being a 3-3 again.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say, or it could be a long night, we could just
Yeah.
be going, a motion to continue it, and they can consider what you've done,
But actually,
or said.
just to, is Joe's, is your also sticking point the left side setback?
The left and the right.
And the right?
But I still have a motion.
Yes.
Point of order.
Yeah.
So I move we do not adopt the resolution. Would you like me to read the whole thing? Okay. We do not adopt the resolution approving design review DR 25-0062 for the construction of a one-story 3,469 square foot single-family home and variance V25-0001 to allow 13-foot front setback in lieu of the required 25-foot front setback, 5 to 4.5 foot, that says inches, but same thing, and 5 to 5.5 foot side setbacks in lieu of the required 15-foot side setbacks, and 28% front yard landscape area in lieu of the required 50% front yard landscape area, per the recommended findings and conditions of approval. And I mean, I do find the project is exempt from CEQA, but I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to say there. So, and none of the circumstances stated in CEQA guidelines section 15300.2 apply. And do I need to provide findings now?
Yes, so you would need to make a finding that the variance does grant, or it does grant or authorize a use or activity that is not otherwise allowed. You would have to say that you do find that there are no special circumstances, including size, shape, and topography or surroundings, that the strict application of the zoning ordinance
Well,
would
so-
deprive. So you have to make those findings in the negative.
well, every one of them?
Yes.
It's an and for all of them?
Yeah, we just checked that, yes.
Yes,
Okay, well.
all of them. If-
So, with regards to finding A, it does not meet the objective design guidelines. So I think that one's pretty obvious, no? And with regard to finding B, they are following the natural contours, so I agree with that. It does not include a basement. Let's see.
So sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I think you're reading the design review findings.
Oh,
We want to
Yeah.
read the
Yes.
variance
It's
findings.
on page 4/14.
Yeah, 5-14 or whatever.
oh, got it.
And,
Okay.
and if you do need to recess to gather thoughts, that's also an option too.
No, well, I thought it was an or as opposed to all 5 of these are ands, but, so let's see, does it, authorize a use that is not, well, so no, so that one, I'm not sure we can find that is in the negative. Special circumstances exist. I think that's true, in this case. Creating a substantially larger, so I don't agree, with B. It says strict adherence to the zoning setbacks would prevent the construction of a single-family home typically allowed. And that is not true. This is much larger than those allowed in this area. With regard to C, I believe, it says, it's granting a special right or privilege inconsistent with the limitations upon other properties. So I believe that the setbacks that we would be allowing here are greater than we're seeing with other homes. So granting the variance will not allow for a larger home or more intensive density than would otherwise be permitted. Yeah, I don't agree with that one. And then D, will be detrimental to the health, safety, welfare of others. It's clearly affecting the neighbors. So I don't know if the neighbors are taken into account in that one, but I believe they are. And then the CEQA one, I don't think we can say it's against CEQA in this case. So I guess I'm 3 out of 5. So I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
the sequel, you can approve the sequel without approving the variance, but
Okay.
yeah, so you've made,
Well, it's one of the 5,
Yeah.
so I think we were 3 out of 5, but if we have to be 5 out of 5, then I don't know what we're supposed to do.
no, the sequel, for the variance, you need to make the variance findings in the negative, which I believe you have.
Yeah, at least for B, C, and D. So
You need to make A through D.
A through D.
Yes.
Well, does not grant or authorize a use or activity that is not otherwise allowed in the zone.
It does, because it's a bigger house and it's about, that's all purpose.
Yeah, I think so. And it seems we're changing setbacks. So I think we're there. That's my motion.
Is that a motion?
How's that for a horrible
Second
motion?
the motion.
Well,
May I
sorry.
ask a clarifying question? May I ask a
I
clarifying
had a
question?
too, because the
Okay,
first
then you
the
go.
The first one of authorize a use or activity is not otherwise allowed. The size is within the size parameters. So I don't think the size, you can say that the size is not an activity.
But the size is only in the parameters by changing the setbacks.
But the size of the house is within the FAR and the coverage.
A
So,
use or activity
Not
that
otherwise allowed in the zone, because there are restrictions in that zone, what you can do, they can't be.
sure, but the size of the house is not, the size of the house is allowed. It's the setbacks that you guys have a problem with. So
but it specifically calls out a one-story single-family home. So they could build a two-story home or a basement home, or no, they can't do two-story, but they could do a basement home that would meet the setback requirements. So maybe by including one story in here, they've unintentionally tripped it up. But
I don't know. To me,
Okay.
the size I don't think is a reason to say that you can't, or the use or activity. That doesn't make sense to me, because it's not, the size isn't what we're discussing. It's the setbacks.
But then we'll never.
The square footage isn't the problem here. So,
Square footage is the problem, because
But it's
them getting
not-
a variance, they can't build that house as designed.
sure, but the size, irregardless of the setbacks, the size is okay. The size is fine according to the city.
I don't see how this can be
Okay.
irregardless of the setback, but for the variance requirements, they cannot build the house as designed.
Well, and there's another
Putting on my
variance
lawyer hat,
possibility,
that
which
for.
is,
That's-
yeah,
let's
yeah.
listen to
Also the square footage is fine, but as everybody's been pointing out, the second floor is also a variance, and I suspect that there would be more votes for that than for this. Let me put that way. And I say this partly because they seem to have done the best they can not to intrude on anybody else's space, so to speak. And that could be one way to for them to continue to do that. Everything is pointed towards the creek, and they you know, by rearranging things they could do that. So it would be a smaller footprint, but it would be higher. But that's allowable, that's permissible. That is certainly something that would be a variance. So it cuts both ways, is what I'm saying. And then let me ask Joe a question, just a clarifying question, just to be sure. Is your intention in this motion to be the opposite of the motion that failed? Is that a fair statement?
to be the opposite.
Well, I mean, because if the vote, you want to get 4 votes, right, in a certain way. So I mean, it's not to be the motion that was not approved, right? Because it was split 3-3.
Right.
So you're trying to get to something where we can get to 4-2 or something along those lines.
I'm not convinced
in
that's
order to get
possible,
okay. Well, but because if we go 3-3, then
right.
Then
But
you
I
know.
think that's what Jolie said we need to do again.
Right.
unless something's
You need a
Yeah.
4-2 to approve or 4-2 to deny.
denied. But if we have.
Right.
Because you need
split
an
votes-
affirmative vote of the members that are seated, that's 6, to take
Mhm.
some sort of action. So 3-3 is a tied motion,
So
the tie motion is a failed motion, not a denial or an approval.
Okay, so where does that
Right.
leave? Let's assume it's
But
3-3.
We
We're in
need
the
a
middle-
4, we need
we're
a
in the
4-2
middle-
one way or
we're in the
another.
middle of a
clarifying.
vote.
A
I
vote.
mean,
We have a
we-
motion.
No,
there's-
no, you might get a second this way.
I got
there
a
was
I
a
mean, you
second.
know.
There was already a second.
Yeah, we've seconded.
Was there a second?
Now, whether
Or
or
you
not
seconded
any
it.
of us
Okay.
understand the motion I made, including myself, is a separate question.
There is
So-
a motion on the table.
I don't mean to harp on this, but with A on the variance, I still don't understand that how the reason of the size, because it says does not grant or authorize a use or activity. That it's not a different usage. It's like to the argument of the size is the reason that we're not granting A. To me, I don't think that's a reason.
But I think there's a motion here. It's been seconded. There should be a vote. You can vote then.
No,
say
I
on
understand, but
this.
if there's not a valid reason for A, then can we even accept the motion?
In our opinion, there is a valid reason for A. So that's a
mean,
disagreement. You vote
Legally,
against
I know
it.
legally though, I don't know if that's a
I'd be curious to
reason.
hear the answer.
I don't know if we can explain what A really is referring to, because if there's no legal reason for A, then we shouldn't even vote on this motion.
You're saying
Well,
the
it's-
motion's invalid?
I mean,
It would, So it reads right now, the variance does not grant or authorize a use or activity that is not otherwise allowed in the zone because the project proposes a one-story, single-family home, which is a permitted use in the R110 zoning district. You can say that the variance, in your opinion, and based on what's in the packet and what's been discussed tonight, the variance does grant or authorize a use, which would be the use of the lot that is not otherwise allowed in the zone, because it needs to be able to be an authorized use or activity. That project would it's not otherwise allowed because it doesn't meet the setbacks. You need the variances from the setbacks to authorize that use or activity. That's how I see it. And I think you're seeing it, oh, well, it's residential and you're still allowing
Yeah,
residential.
because for CUP applications, that's typically the wording for a change of use. So that's why it's odd that this is a residential project on a residential lot. How can you argue the usage is the size?
Well,
The
but,
usage is the usage of
but by
whatever the
that
project
logic,
is.
you could never not find in the positive for this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It
I
may
think
just-
that, I think
yeah,
it's
well, maybe
saying
so,
that the
'cause you have to have a
use
valid
is the
reason.
allowed use would be you're allowing the use of this size or this proposed project.
Yeah,
But what I don't understand, Jolie, can't we can decide what we're asking for and voting for here? Why are we beholden to the way number A was written by staff?
Well, that's because that's in the code. That's in the Los Altos code.
That we have to make that finding?
Yes, it's in the code.
Well, but it sounds like we could make that finding.
Yes.
But
yeah, the
people will
finding-
vote yes or no based on all five.
Yes.
So if you think all five are well, four anyway, A through D, and I come back. I think C takes care of the size issue.
Yeah.
That's the one that would logically fall under.
And the use.
So but I mean you're going to vote yes or no, right? And
Well, it's granting a use or activity, which is building a house that is not within the setbacks. So
If I could offer some too, one of the provisions of state law is you can't grant a variance for a use. So I think that's the genesis of this finding, which comes from state law. Staff didn't make up these
So how do we
findings.
get out of this situation? We can.
so he can't turn the ADU into a store, for example.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, so given the constraints of what's written here, and you know the kind of the sense of where we are, we're probably a 3-3 vote, maybe it'll be 4-2. How do we actually have a vote on what Joe proposed and I seconded?
I forget what Joe.
Make him repeat it.
to deny the
Yes. And then you went through A, B, C, and D, and we said you didn't need to do E because you don't need to deny the CEQA.
right, and
because
A
that's-
was A is a bit ambiguous.
Yes.
So if you want me to say I don't find that A makes sense, and Susan seconded that. So I mean maybe we're wrong, but I'm not sure.
Well, see, I see the use and the activity that is, and it's tied to the R110 zoning. So if you're going to use that parcel in the R110, you have to abide by all the setbacks and height,
Exactly.
and
Yes.
we can't go
Right.
2 stories.
Exactly.
So the use for R110, you have to fit into that R110 box, and they can't fit into the R110 box with the use that they're proposing or the home that they're proposing without making those findings. And so
then
it would be granting a use of that R110 parcel that is not otherwise allowed by the other similar R110 lots, because they don't get to smoosh out to, that's not the right word, but they don't get
All
to
right. So
creep out
to
into
reiterate my motion, I move that you do not adopt the resolution, and I find that variances A through D, I do not support the findings, and E I do, and I was told by council that we can ignore E for now, so I believe that is the motion.
Okay, I second that motion. Can we call
Okay.
for a vote?
Yeah, let's call for a vote, a roll call vote.
Commissioner Bernardo,
I vote yes to decline the resolution.
Commissioner Mensinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
No.
I had to think about that.
Commissioner Steinle.
I think I'm voting no, if I understood correctly. I mean, I think this is basically the opposite of the earlier motion. It's the opposite finding. Is
Well,
that
Do you support what?
If you support what I said, you would vote yes. If you support
right?
the approval of the project, then you would vote no.
And this would be so we would be denying the project in this case.
Correct.
Then I think in that case I vote yes.
You can't take it back.
I'm
just kidding.
A mulligan.
joking.
I was confused.
I
was
know this
confused.
is serious also, so I don't mean to.
Yeah, no, and I'm trying to be really clear about this
Yeah.
because it does get.
I had to think about my vote when so the motion was to decline the approval. So
Right, and so I will vote yes to decline the approval. Yes.
Vice Chair Roach.
I want to know who's on third.
Yeah.
No.
And Chair Ahi.
No.
So motion fails.
So the motion fails. So
Now what? Another 3-3?
yes.
So in order to move forward, basically somebody is going to need to change their vote.
Well, or we can continue the hearing and ask the applicant actually to be present, and we can authorize the applicant to appear by Zoom if that's because if he's in Los Angeles or Palo Alto or some other far-flung part of the state. We don't have to have him physically in front of us, but he does. I do think that he has to appear, and we're somebody who can commit to something, right, and come in and say, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So I'm disturbed by the fact that the applicant wasn't able to be here, and I appreciate the gentleman who came, and I think he knows what he's talking about. He's been involved in the project. He would actually be running the thing, but I don't think that he gets to make the final decision, unless he does. But it doesn't sound like it. And if I were he, I wouldn't want to.
Can I ask clarification?
so-
So Jolie,
Mhm.
what you're saying is if someone doesn't switch their vote here, we stay here all night and we stay here tomorrow and we stay here the next day? That is what I'm hearing, and that doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Well, a tie vote is a failed motion.
understand.
So if you want to take an affirmative action to approve or deny, someone's going to have to flip a vote.
And if
We
we
need a
choose not to
4-2 out of all
If
of you.
we choose to do neither of those, what do we do?
You continue it.
It appears as though the applicant may want to speak. I don't know
Yeah,
if the chair wants
sure.
to allow that.
By the way, the applicant is listed as Brooke McHugh. So who is that?
So-
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that we list the applicant, whoever sort of enters their
Okay,
name on the
got it.
application
You can come
form,
up.
but.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah, thank you guys. Joe, to your original question when you asked me up here about the variance on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, I think we're kind of stuck because the way the property is orientated with the driveway of the neighbor and the elevated nature of the house, they're looking like on the roof. And I really don't think it affects the right-hand side neighbor. The left-hand side neighbor going to a 5-foot point of that property, if there's some world where we can get in a conditional approval, I would speak on behalf of the owner to say we are amenable to move that setback on the left-hand side to accommodate some further distancing from the property on the left-hand side. I think the front house, I think with the ADU and all that stuff, is kind of set. And then the right-hand side of the house, if you look at it, it's really not affected by how close we are with the setback. And that's why we pushed it to that 5-foot mark. The left-hand side, if that's a sticking point and we can get some sort of conditional approval, we're amenable to something like that.
Are you willing to do something about the fact that the house is just too big for that lot?
Well, taking back that setback would reduce its size.
I don't know, what would the math be on that? What would it reduce it to?
Right. So at this point, then we'd be talking about like affecting the owner's quality of life that he wants to have in his property. So he has his lifestyle, he has the size of house he's trying to build for that lifestyle. So, you know, if we get into a discussion regarding that, I don't know if it's, you know, I don't think using comparable properties that were built in the 60s and 50s and the size really are justifying the new size of this property on the one lot that's available to build on.
So what I'm hearing is he's really not willing to do much because he has a lifestyle choice, his choice. He can do what he wants, but he's asking us to give him special permission to do something which was not part of the property when he bought it.
We're asking for a variance to build a property with a footprint that we suggested. We're willing to, on the left-hand side of the property, if there's a sticking point with the easement that's requested, to adjust it.
I guess I still struggle
Sorry.
with the fact you knew what you were buying, or you should have known what you were buying, and now you're asking to come in and get all sorts of special permissions to do something different, and seem to be balking at us, suggesting no.
I'm not at all. We're just here to try to get a conditional approval.
Okay.
Okay. May I ask, Dennis, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Yeah. Since I understand you're sort of speaking hypothetically. I mean, that is to say, how firm is that commitment to talk about
it's pretty firm. Regardless of what happens here today, it seems like we're going to be going back to the drawing table with our engineer, with our architect and all of this stuff, which all costs the same amount of time and effort and money for the client. So
irrespective of what
of
what we decide.
So if it gets denied here today, we're going back to the drawing board. If it gets conditionally approved here, we're going back to the drawing board. I would like to walk away with this with a positive understanding of conditional approval, if that's possible. And if it is possible, you guys outline what's possible to make that happen. And if it's not possible, then we just have to come back completely with something different.
Okay. Before you stop, and you can stay there for a minute, Dennis. A question for Jolie and Stephanie. We cannot conditionally approve the thing; it's all or nothing. But we can continue the hearing if there's an understanding that we will be looking at a modified proposal according to certain criteria that we lay out. We say, well, we want you to do the following things, and you do the following things, and you come back and we say, hallelujah, we're in business. Okay, that's sort of what you're proposing. Can we do that?
You would have to definitively say right now so we could put in the motion and in the resolution that the side setback would, instead of saying reduced to 5 feet 5.5 inches, it's reduced to, let's say, 8 feet 6 inches. It would have to be definitive right now of what that variance is being approved.
You told us earlier we could not do that.
But that's modifying the approval.
I am so confused.
I mean, I would.
So you can't vote down or up individual components of the requested variances, but if you said
you can't alter the motion, but if you're continuing it, then you can have specific criteria for staff. Is that kind of what I'm getting?
No.
Like if it's a motion, sorry. If it's a motion, then we can't be specific about the individual variances.
If we want to continue it, what's the motion?
just to continue to preferably a date certain.
But not with specific, like if we are specific, we have to be specific about every single thing.
If you're changing the project and the components of the variance, it has to be specific right now in the
Okay.
recommendation.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Well, let me.
I still have a question.
Let me just.
Sorry,
Richard,
sorry.
then
Eric,
go ahead.
Eric, 1 second. The applicant has a colleague that wants to speak. Yeah. Do you want to come up for a second?
Hi, my name is Gogo. I my name is Bao Wu. I also know as Gogo Wu. I'm the co-owner of NorCal State Builder, partner with Dennis. To address the gentleman's question about the privacy on the left-hand side, we did have the replacement of the trees planned along that provide more privacy on top of the setback that we already have. That is going back to the original idea of why we want to, intrusive to the neighbor as much as possible. But at the same time, we cannot discriminate the owner's choice of like how they live their life and so forth. So, I think Eric also mentioned about the landscaping and trees and so forth. That will provide some privacy in between the left side setback, which is the front door of the house, and the left-hand side neighbor. So, and within the coverage, as Commissioner Ahi mentioned earlier, it's we are strictly based on the guideline of the coverage of the land that allow us to build. And in fact, we try to, string it even further. Consider the amount, the kind of like a rear shaped that we're working around. And then it's not ideal because right now it's kind of like a little tier size on the left-hand side of the house. But we want to compromise to make sure that we adhere to the rules and what allow us to do. And at the same time, trying to, be accommodating to everybody. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I want to share with you the thought process.
Thank you. Okay.
Well,
trying to figure
Maris,
out-
may I make a suggestion since I seem to have walked us into this.
Well, I was just gonna say, Eric, that I think
Uh-huh.
the best way to go about it, you can sit down. Yeah. The best way to go about it, I think, would be to make a motion to continue the project. I don't believe that we should be designing from the dais. I don't think we should make decisions about every specific dimension up here. So I think we should just continue it, let staff deal with it. I think the applicant has more than enough commentary to modify the project, and that's what I would suggest. So I'm ready to make that motion, if everyone.
Joe had some questions.
I just had one question.
Sure.
So is the owner of 1266 here or no? No. Okay, because I was there. One of the challenges with this project is there were no renderings that showed the other properties involved. The property lines, you couldn't see where the fences were. It was pretty lacking. So if I was going to say, if the person at 1266 didn't really have concerns, there's no way for me to know the topology based on the information we were given. But if 1266 is way up here and this one's down here, they're going to be looking down onto the roof one way or another. So maybe continuing it. And I would definitely recommend. Were you guys listening on the way in when we were talking about the project or no? The developer.
No, we can watch the video.
Okay, so I think you'd get a lot of feedback on what we were concerned about. So that I just wasn't sure if they heard the first 30 or 60 minutes of the meeting. So I would be happy to second your motion if you want to make it.
Okay, so we have a motion to continue the project in a second. Can we get
Is it a date certain?
to a date uncertain?
Date certain.
Date certain.
Then we don't have to
Got it.
renotice.
Okay. So can we get a roll call vote?
Well, we have to pick a date.
So the
oh,
options
sorry.
of the future meetings are March 5th or March 19th. And for reference, we already have another project going on March 5th.
I would ask the developer what's good for them in terms of coming back with other ideas.
What were the options again? The 5th or the-
March 5th and March 19th.
We can accommodate both dates.
What's
How
on
much
the
time
5th?
do you guys need? Actually, we should let Maris decide.
Maybe the 19th.
If it would help, I could be present physically on the 19th, but not on the 5th.
Yeah.
I think.
I think the 19th would give staff and the applicant more time.
Right.
Okay. I will say the 19th. Yeah, so we'll go to that date.
And I second that.
And
A friendly amendment.
Sure.
Before we, and I don't know whether we need to do this, but just in case, that parties that are can appear by Zoom if that is much more convenient if they're out of town and that sort of thing. And just to be clear, so somebody doesn't say like it was too far, it was whatever. So we want people to be here one way or the other. We don't need to So yeah, I don't know whether we need to say that, whether that's something that we need to add in. It's a friendly amendment, and if it's necessary, I'll forget it if it isn't. So, I mean,
Well, right
'cause
now,
the-
right now, only the boards and commissions and the council can appear remotely. We're not allowing, we're not there yet, where the
yeah,
public,
well, yeah,
the public can watch and participate orally and visually, but we don't have the Zoom link where people can comment in, so they should.
well, it's not so much commenting, but if they were made participants for and then they can be muted.
We're not doing that right now.
You're not doing that?
Not
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
In July, we will be, but
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I would
I guess
say,
that's not feasible.
yeah, I would say no. I think that the builders at the next meeting, I think they can convey from the owner if they'd like what he thinks, but I think they're more than capable of answering our questions at that meeting. So I would just go with the original motion and the second, and I would ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Benonato,
Yes, I think.
Commissioner Mensinger,
yes.
Commissioner Steinle,
What I was being asked.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Vice Chair Roach,
Yes.
and Chair Ahi.
Yes. Okay.
Unanimous continuation to March 19th.
All right.
2 hours and 12 minutes.
Thank you so
At what
much.
time on the 19th?
It's at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.? Okay.
Thank you so much. If everyone could just be quiet as they're exiting, that would be great. I will move on to commissioners' reports. Do we have any reports? No?
It's okay to leave.
Yeah.
It's okay to leave.
Okay, no commissioners' reports. Potential future agenda items. Staff, are there any future agenda items we should be aware of?
No. Is there will be a meeting on March 5th and then now March 19th as well.
Okay, and then our joint one, is on March, I forget, with the council,
Give me 1 second. March 10th.
March 10th.
Yes.
So March 5th, March 10th, March 19th.
You guys are going to see a lot of each other. And
Yeah.
I know there is no city attorney report on this agenda, which you guys probably would like after all my talking tonight. But I do just want to remind this commission, we're trying to remind all the commissions that you need a quorum present to legally hold a Brown Act meeting. And if there isn't a quorum, you can wait and see if that one last person is going to show up. But if you don't have a quorum, you don't have a meeting, and then you adjourn that meeting. You don't take public comment, you don't say the Pledge of Allegiance, you don't just hold a meeting and say you're not going to take any action. So I just really want to be clear on that. If you don't have a quorum, you can't legally meet.
And a quorum
What is our number?
3?
Yours is 4,
Oh,
4. Okay.
a majority of 6.
A majority of 6.
Because
Okay.
your handbook says the quorum is, it's who's seated. So right now you are 6.
And the quorum in person, or does that include the Zoom
That
participants?
includes the Zoom persons.
Okay.
Hey,
'cause-
we count too.
Well, no, I'm going to be gone on the 5th, so I was glad that
Yeah.
once, but I can
Okay.
attend remotely once I post the notice and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and so, yeah, if it did get down to 5 people,
Mm.
You would still need 4 because there's 6 people seated.
I see.
And
And
please,
then,
it was hard enough tonight. Don't.
I was watching the council meeting, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. Did they lower the planning commission to 5 members now? Or it basically, not now, but at some point, or is that still being discussed?
I don't think they
maybe
decided.
didn't-
I
they were
think
talking about
they
it,
discussed
maybe.
it, yes.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I thought they
Question.
decided. Yes.
Can you tell us what project is going to come before us on the 5th, is it? The next
It's,
meeting?
It's a modification of a CUP for a private school.
I didn't hear that.
Conditional use permit modification.
Okay.
Modification of what?
Yes, St. Simon. St. Simon.
Okay, I don't see anything else. So with that, I will adjourn. It's 8:15. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you all on the 5th. I'll be there for the 5th and the
Or not. Sorry, Maris. I hope we didn't make it too crazy.
It was just hard logistically,
Yeah.
right? I think we're
Well, there's one on First Street.